Good morning to you wherever it is you are joining us or streaming from around the world. I welcome you to Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television from our corporate headquarters in Lagos State, Nigeria. I am Henry Igwe. Very so excited to have everyone join us today. Let's get cracking. Definitely with our newspapers to see through all that we have. We have 4 newspapers to look at today: the Vanguard, the Punch, the Daily Trust newspaper, and possibly from there would be our main conversation also. Please do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can reach us when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. Very so honored to have joining me virtually from Delta State, Nigeria is His Greatness Agadaigo. He is a barrister at law, public affairs analyst, and development communicator. Good morning to you, barrister, and welcome to Enterprise Morning today.
Good morning, Mr. Henry Igwe. My pleasure to be with you again and again. Happy New Week.
To you. It's an honor having you every time. So let's get started with the first daily on our desk, Vanguard newspaper. It is big story: Middle East war. No distress calls yet from Nigerians in Iran, and it's coming from the federal government. We have on the top strip equally that alleged secret bank accounts. The CCB summons FHC CJ Justice Soho, and we equally have that governors back Tinubu on direct or revenue remittance to Federation account. I love to believe the reason governors are backing Tinubu is because obviously they need more money. Tinubu has been giving them so much money. These people are looking for more money, so of course they would back Tinubu on whatever intention that he has. We have on the top strip equally, federal government begins implementation of executive order on oil gas revenue, which is equally sympathical to what the governors are yearning for. We have on the down strip of the same newspaper, phone tapping equipment claim is fiction. El-Rufai family fires back at ICPC. Remember, the ICPC had raided the property of Malam Nasser El-Rufai in Abuja and claimed they found equipment that Malam Nasser El-Rufai is using to tap into very secret conversation that Nuhu Ribadu, his very good friend, old friend, is having with external friends and all. So the ICPC is saying they found that the family of Nasser El-Rufai saying that it's all fictitious in nature. None of those is true. But let's get to our talking point for today. Oh yes, there's this interesting one. I will be Nigeria's first elected female governor, Iyabo Obasanjo. All right, let's see how that goes, but let's get to our talking point. Benin attack. How DSS nabbed suspects over threat to Peter Obi and Oyegu in Edo State. Barrister, speak to us on this. You know, usually when our security personnel are ready to do their job, I'm talking about the DSS, I'm talking about the police force, I'm talking about the military, when they are ready for you, they would get to the root of the matter. And this is a clear example, despite the fact that Okwebolo, the governor of Edo State, refuted that there was anything that ever happened in the state. What's your take on this, please?
Well, I will still be cautious and be apprehensive and maintain my calm to see what happens next, because you know, basically our agencies, not only security agencies, all our agencies behave like a push and start car. I don't know whether you have ever driven a car, push and start.
Definitely.
Until you push them, push and push and push, they will not go to work. And when they go to work, you need to keep monitoring, cross-checking, so that you are not led on the nose. You know, about 6 years ago, during the COVID era, because I had reasons to visit the police command in Delta State, Asaba. I now discovered to my chagrin that police were making suspects of crime pay for investigation. Did you hear what I said? Somebody got arrested and detained as a possible culprit, a suspect. You collect money for him to visit the local Cinco, that's the scene of the crime.
Okay, sir.
You collect money from him to go and check other leads. Then what will be the outcome of your investigation? How credible is that? And I had to write to the Commissioner of Police then, that's 6 years ago, to bring that practice to his attention if he's not aware, and to condemn it in very, very clear and definite terms. But I never got his reply. So each time there's a political investigation in Nigeria, I'm always very cautious to make statements. Let's await the outcome of the investigation. It's not just the fact that you hear that police arrested somebody does not mean that that person may end up being the real offender or culprit of the offense. Because we have heard stories and we have even seen people who a crime happens, there's no police. Many, many hours after the crime has happened, policemen or security agencies will come to the area and start arresting any person they see on the road, by the road, and the rest. So you say they have a suspect. So let's see where it leads to. Let's see who the people are, because it is clear that one thing is clear, that the attackers of Peter Obi, former Governor John Oyegu, it was politically motivated. So if you now arrest suspects who have no inkling about any political linkage to Peter Obi's attack, then one has a right to be suspicious. So let us know. And of course, the people who attacked Peter Obi, it appeared that they were well armed. They shot. So it was not as if it was one person, two person, three. They were in good numbers. They were in good numbers. So we have to properly look into who these suspects are. Of course, we should be able to trace them to somewhere. It's not as if it was passers by, people who were just passing by that tried to attack Peter Obi in Oyegu's compound. It's people who knew his itinerary. People who, according to what was revealed in the papers, people who trailed him from the ADC campaign office, where he had attended a function to receive the former NBA president, Akpata, into the ADC political party. And from the reports we got on the media, they said he got intelligence report that certain people were coming to attack him at the ADC campaign office. So they had to cut short the activities and move to former Governor John Oyegu's house. And even when they were inside the compound, they were attacked, gunshots were there. So let's see the credibility of this investigation. Let all the facts come in so that we'll be able to put them, fix the facts and the leads together. So if they match up, we will now give, say, bravo to the DSS and other sister security agencies that have been involved in this investigation. But until then, Henry, I beg to hold my breath and I beg to hold my expectations. Keep my expectations. So,
yes. So whilst we wait for you to hold your breath and your expectation, for us in the media, it's our responsibility to keep digging in, to keep digging deep, and to ensure that we find facts and anything related to it. And we truly do hope and believe that Webolo and his team might not in any way be found part of this, and we hope that this wouldn't result to something else that Nigerians would have to be concerned about. But let's take a look at other matters. I will be Nigeria's first elected female governor, Iyabo Obasanjo claims. Barrister, is it enough for us to say, okay, she's going to be the first female governor of Nigeria? Affirmative action in this case. Do you think that is good enough for politics? You are a politician yourself. Do you think affirmative action, just giving it to a woman for a woman's sake, is enough reason to allow her to be the first substantive governor in Nigeria?
Well, even though I believe that both male and female should be given equal opportunity to contest for leadership positions at all levels of government, but there must not, if for even you know what they say what a man can do, a woman can do, and
better.
can even do much. So if you have that kind of confidence that you can do much better, so why are you trying to crave for preferential treatment? Why are you craving that? Oh, because many a times when this affirmative action, what it ends up happening, it gives us the worst qualified from the female gender.
Why do you say so, Barrister? Why do you say so?
Experience, because they will first of all blackmail the men to stay aside and allow the women. This is the women's turn. Then when the men stay aside, that is the women's turn. You now see all manner of gymnastics. It will not be on merit anymore. Who can go through, do backdoor politics, go through the back door, or do anything to enter that position. And at the end of the day, it's of us to get the most suitable and qualified female aspirant will not get the very worst who was prepared to play the dirty politics, the very worst who was ready to compromise, the very worst who was ready to carry out antics that I cannot even describe on national TV. I cannot describe on national TV. That is what it ends up producing. So if I want to throw it to the female gender, your motto is whatever a man can do, you can do better. So why don't you challenge the man on equal footing?
But Barrister, me and you, we all know it's not that easy to challenge men on equal footings. You understand what politics is about. This is a mother. She has kids that she needs to take care of, even if it's not toddlers, but she has an emotional connection to her kids she must take care of. In running politics in Nigeria, sometimes you see them having meetings at odd hours. It's possible for men, but it's not that possible for women. So don't you think having a blanket footing for everyone is not really equity?
If you cannot take the fire, if you cannot take the smoke, if you cannot take the smell, if you cannot tolerate pepper and onions and tomatoes, then please get out of the kitchen immediately. Get out. The kitchen is not for everybody. It is for those who are prepared to endure whatever it takes to get the food ready. So it's not for everybody. And that's why it's not enough to say it's women's turn, affirmative action. There are people, it's not every female that should be a politician. Just like it's not every professional that should be a politician. And even political participation has the different dimension. There are people, women who are ready to take on men, money for money, intellect for intellect, connection for connection, and every other driver in political engineering that will lead to political success. Those are the ones that should come out. It's not for everybody. And good enough, Iyabo Obasanjo is not a neophyte. I think she has been a two-term senator in states. She knows the game. Good enough, she has the political name, which is of great value in any political adventurism. She has the backing of her father. She has the goodwill of her senatorial district, where she served meritoriously, I would say, as a senator. And she's intellectually sagacious.
And she's in APC. And she is in APC, don't forget, Barrister.
Party in APC.
Yes.
And who knows, maybe, and you know, even winning election in Nigeria is all about favor from those who call the shots. So with her father, former president, who the APC leaders will be willing to please so that he can support their sole presidential candidate for the 2027 election. I'm sure they will gladly, they may give her, because people don't just support you because you are a good candidate. It's one good thing in politics. The motto is always, scratch my back, I will scratch your back. What do you have to offer me? When you give me something, you do something for me, I do something for you. That's how they play politics in Nigeria. So if she has something to offer, it's not about if all these virtues I've listed, they are just secondary. That's the truth. If she has something to offer, and I think one of the things that will be demanded from her, from those who will determine the APC gubernatorial candidate for the 2027 election, is for her to be able to convince her father
to do what? To join the APC?
So not necessarily, not even to join APC. He needs not to. He needed not do that. But you know, Obasanjo is fully aligned with Peter Obi for 2027 election. So one of the price I suspect that she will be made to pay if this her gubernatorial ambition is going to move even one step forward, is for her to find a way of convincing her father, former President Obasanjo, to support Tinubu. Then she will be handed the APC gubernatorial ticket. How do they call it? In Lakata, free of charge. Free of that.
Well, we all know it is not possible. Obasanjo has been a sworn enemy of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I would love to believe sometimes back they had told each other that they would continue to be at loggerhead until one of them gives up the ghost. I do not know where that's coming from, but I've read it from some quarters. So getting Obasanjo to support Tinubu, I do not think it's ever possible. I wish her the best and hope that it works for her. But let's move to another story, Barrister. The Punch newspaper, it is petrol may hit 1,000 naira a litre as Dangote hikes prices, and equally with the problem going on in West Asia, in Middle East. It's another big issue. Barrister, speak to me. How do you think President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan managed Nigeria during the economic crisis around the world? He was able to create a system that shielded Nigeria, insulated Nigeria out of the many problems other parts of the world experienced. Unfortunately, we have a President Bola Ahmed Tinubu who is ready to sell us out and allow what happens in Iran happen to Nigeria today. Fuel prices 930 naira with mobile filling station. NNPC selling for 950 already, and this might get to 1,000 naira plus. How do you think we can get it better?
The success or failure of any administration is directly tied to the quality of the personnel overseeing critical sectors of that administration. I made this point last week, Saturday, when I spoke with my other colleague, the journalist.
Yeah.
Where I spoke, I was trying to emphasize this point over and over. In fact, the seriousness to which both the citizens of a country and the international community attaches to a government's program and policies is greatly dependent on the quality of personnel that administration has recruited to drive them. If you dish out very laudable economic policies, and in the estimation of the international community, they believe that those who you have deployed to drive them are fools, they will not take you seriously. They will not touch it. They will not touch it even from 1,000 miles. They won't touch it. They'll just see you as unserious. So if you watch during Yar'Adua, let me make this point again, is that I think that one of Obasanjo's regret today should be supporting Yar'Adua to be his successor.
What would he have done?
And the reason, I think that it would have even been better for him to have even supported an Atiku Abubakar, because Obasanjo found out that the policies he had put in place had lifted Nigeria light years ahead and would even bring greater benefits to Nigeria if they were sustained. So Obasanjo was actually looking for a successor who will by all means sustain the continuous implementation of those his reform economic policies. But when he brought Yar'Adua, because Yar'Adua was only a governor of Katsina State, he did not even understand the economic policies. He did not understand what they were aimed to achieve. He did not understand the malady they were put in place to correct. So every day he kept on reversing these economic policies one by one every day until he even reversed the privatization of the nation refineries and took it away from Dangote, Otedola and Co. and gave it back to NNPC. So it was when Yar'Adua had died, when Jonathan came in, Jonathan now went back to Obasanjo's economic policies. And that's why Jonathan was able to now attract back the likes of Okonjo-Iweala, who were now able to begin to continue the economic policies from where Obasanjo stopped. And of course, you know, they now started pursuing the power reform roadmap, the economic policies, ensuring single-digit inflation, I'm sure single-digit inflation in Nigeria's ears now is as if it's something that happened 100 years ago. But in Jonathan Obasanjo's time, it was actually the reality. It went back to trying to ensure industrialization, went back to liberalization of the downstream and upstream sector, and a phase-by-phase removal of the foreign subsidy regime, and of course, other liberalization policies that will help to lessen the burden of government. And of course, he tried to ensure that our capital expenditure went up to 60%, while recurrent expenditure collapsed to 40%. So that's how he was able to manage it with the vibrant, because when you hire qualified personnel, it brings about international leverage, international confidence. It attracts foreign direct investments into your country, and it helps you to get a lot of grants, a lot of goodwill from the international community. So that was how he was able to manage it despite the harsh international economic environment. But unfortunately, now what we have today is that I'm sure we talked on last week that this year alone we are going to pay our debts. Our debts servicing is going to be about 10 trillion naira. Is that not what we discussed last week? 10 trillion naira. What we are going to use to service debts, the high debt service burden. And meanwhile, the government is engaging in squandermania, as if all is well. As if all is well. You don't see the difficulties Nigeria face. It's not reflective in Aso Rock and all the other government houses in Nigeria. You see them still placing high budgets for utility vehicles, airplane, yachts, and other luxury items. Still take a good amount of our budget. Of course, the National Assembly is also still taking a very, very large chunk of our national budget. So you don't see, and one of the things that must happen is that the cost of governance must be greatly reduced. You are not going to sew your clothes anymore according to your size, but you should sew your clothes according to the size of the cloth that is available, so that you can have more money available for capital projects, more money available to give grants to small, medium scale industries, to give them grants and loan, more money available to be able to bring subsidies to the agricultural sector in terms of fertilizer, in terms of yield, and most essentially in terms of provision of storage facilities. Because of course you are very vibrant. You know that 50% of our produce are spoiled due to lack or poor storage facilities. Despite, even with the Fulani herdsmen making many of our farmers unable to access their farms and get their yields, more of our yields still become destroyed because of lack of proper storage facilities,
yes,
lack of adequate storage facilities. So the government must invest heavily on agriculture and all the chain, the complete chain of food production to see this happen. Okay. And of course, the government stop deceiving itself and opening up our borders for the importation of all manner of rice and food items does not amount to food sufficiency. It is not food sufficiency. You are only kicking the can further down the road and postponing the evil days. So
all right.
Areas we want to see our president Bola Ahmed Tinubu fold his sleeves and deal with appropriately, which will now enhance the living standard of the ordinary Nigerian. And when I talk of ordinary Nigerian, I'm talking of me. I know you are not an ordinary Nigerian, Mr. Henry. You are far.
Barrister, I'm very well an ordinary Nigerian. Very well an ordinary Nigerian. And I think it's so very important to reiterate that Nigerians are really feeling the pinch as we speak. The middle class in Nigeria is not in existence any longer. During the days of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, a bag of rice was sold for less than 20,000. A bag of gari was close to about 8,000 to 10,000 naira. The middle class then was ripe and ready to go, creating businesses here and there. But today, the middle class in Nigeria have all sold their businesses and emigrated to different countries around the world. And what we have right now is a depletion layer between the very poor and the extremely rich politicians. That's the unfortunate situation that our president Bola Ahmed Tinubu had introduced us to. But we would keep seeing what we can do to provide good information, especially from guests like Barrister and many more. So he would be around to take us on our main conversation when we return. NiDCOM claims no distress calls from Nigerians in Iran as Lagos protests erupt and oil prices spike to $80 per barrel. In a beat, Enterprise Morning it is. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.